Welcome to Charts Today. My name's David Linton, and today's edition for Wednesday, the 22nd of July, comes to you from London. And we start by looking at the dollar sinking lower this week again. We're just seeing here now starting to look like testing this March low, so that's quite significant. We're just still bearish on the short-term chart, but long-term still just holding up. But if we stay below this cloud for much longer, and of course this low is now the key thing. So just dollar weakness is still a continuing theme, which means the euro is stronger, and we're seeing that long-term transition on the euro there. Sterling sitting at 126.55 against the dollar this morning, just coming off the top. We were at 127.50 there on that dollar weakness, and against the pound, against the euro, we see sterling back below the 110 level, so we're just seeing some bearishness continuing there on sterling. Taking a look at Bitcoin, very little change there, sitting at $9,300, really just in this stuck in this range. Really, we see that in the medium-term chart. Remembering this is my long-term, my medium term, and my short term view of the market. So this is weekly, daily, 60-minute. Taking a look at the S&P 500 index, it edged higher yesterday, so we have now convincingly passed that June 8 high, so that is good news for the market. And the Nasdaq, of course, we've been seeing new highs on the market, so that's looking strong. Just haven't quite managed to break last week's high, so intraday high, but we did see a closing high there the day before yesterday, and the Dow was up 0.6%. So looking stronger there as well. Looking at the futures, we see that the S&P future is down 0.6%, and the E-mini is down just under 0.5%. So it does look like we will open lower today. So we're just seeing the future coming off the top there, and there is a downside target there of around 2%. And the market volatility is back up. We're seeing the VIX sitting at 26, still a fairly high level historically, double what we saw at the start of the year. So that VIX volatility is something we are watching, but for the moment it seems under control. The UK market down 1% on the future this morning, and the DAX cash is down 0.2%. So we are just seeing markets retreating, and the CAC 40 in France down 1.4%. So that is lower as well. Japan was down 0.5%, and the Hong Kong Hang Seng Index was down 2.25%. So we are still seeing long-term decline in the Hong Kong index, and the Chinese market was actually up. Shanghai Composite actually just improving, regaining some of last week's losses there. We see that on the candle. The Sensex in India was down 0.2%, and the Aussie market was actually down 1.3% overnight. No big surprises there, having jumped 2.6% the day before. Gold is the real story today. It's up to $1,850 US. So we are really seeing that motoring now, and we've got this new upside target of 1989. That's another 7% higher. So we really are seeing gold prices now starting to really rocket. Silver also moving very substantially up 2%. Just a massive jump this week, really. We're just seeing that accelerating. So precious metals generally moving higher. US 10-year bond yields actually below the 0.6% level. So that's starting to look a little bit worrying that bond yields will fall. Taking a look at the energy mix, we've got Brent crude. It did jump out yesterday. Weaker dollar helping there, of course. We are pulling back to this 43.50 level, so we are just seeing some areas of support there. We do have quite big upside targets for Brent crude, but looks like 45 and 47. We nearly got to 45 yesterday, so looking pretty bullish there, although we are pulling back this morning. And the same with WTI. We're seeing there quite a lot of volatility, but pulling back this morning, so it looks like we'll come back to that $40 mark. But for the moment, crude oil's recovery is looking pretty assured. US nat gas sitting at 165. It's in the doldrums, still in bearish territory on the downside there. 162, the next target, if that is activated. We do have 164 and targets into the 150s, so it does still look worrying. Coal continues its recovery. It's holding on at over $60. So we are just seeing there an improvement. Emissions actually down nearly 2% this morning, so we're just back in that sort of 26 range. We do have this new upside target, but new downside targets actually on the 1 minute chart. So it does look like we could pull all the way back to about 24 euros. And if we look at MBP, we're up 2% there this morning. So UK gas still just starting to recover, and TTF just struggling to get back above that €5 mark. So that is bad for front month TTF. And if we look at winter gas, we're sitting at €11. So again, just that failed recovery, struggling to get back above the cloud. German power holding the €40 mark. So this recovery is pretty assured, although we've pulled right down here and we do have targets below 40. So we shouldn't be surprised to see it dipping below. We saw that the last couple of days. But for the moment, the longer term picture is still okay. That's it for now. Until tomorrow, happy charting. See you then.